How are you, Mike?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
We just had one of your neighbors on here in Dale Earnhardt Jr. He says hello.
Oh, he's a nice guy. I've really hung out with him once, but I hear about him all the time. I go to a bike shop that's right behind my shop, or right behind my house, and Chris back there sees everybody, so he kind of keeps me updated. So, but yeah, he just I didn't see the show, but got a house built or restored a house.
Okay.
They did a show on it.
Oh, I didn't know that they did a show on that. So they came in your house with cameras and just to see what's
not mine. His.
Oh, his. Okay, I see. Yeah, he said that you and Chip Kelly were hanging out. That's what he said, that he saw you hanging out with Chip Kelly next door.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Chip Kelly was in town and kind of unannounced, and we'd always talked about, because I'm down there anyway, and then Chip had always talked about coming down, and so I'm at this place that I hang out, and then all of a sudden in walks Chip Kelly, and so Chip and I spent time together down there for a couple days, and then we go into another place, and there's Dale Earnhardt Jr.
So when you run into someone like Chip Kelly, Coach, do you talk ball? Is that what you do, or life, or what is a conversation that you have with a fellow offensive-minded head coach?
We talk football some. It's kind of a combination of both. Talk football some, talk life, talk what he does in the off season, that type of thing. Really all the above, kind of.
Okay, so now let's talk about your season a little bit here. You're heading to Colorado this week. What is the challenge for you over the next several weeks, in your estimation, with the possibility of winding up in the Final Four of the college football playoff rankings?
I think the challenge really is always the same, which is just try to get better each week, try to focus on the present and make the most of that, because, there's a lot of excitement. Obviously on our part, or we wouldn't do this, but on the outside too, and you just got to kind of stay locked in and, stay excited about what you're doing every day, I think is really what's most critical.
How has your system meshed well, obviously, with Gardner Minshew, who's a transfer this year? How has that been in terms of a transition for you?
I think that's been probably the most impressive thing that Gardner did, is his ability to integrate with our team as quickly as he did. And so, we're going to have a new quarterback and didn't have anyone that had a great deal of experience. And then, so it's a three-way race for our starting quarterback. And, what I really thought Gardner did, because he didn't get here till the middle of May, and but in the off season, the weight room and all that really just kind of became part of the unit. And then, and I thought that was very impressive. And then the other thing is, and he'd thrown the ball before and certainly wanted to throw the ball, but just as far as being able to execute our package with our players and picking it up quickly. And he had a presence about him that lifted up the players around him that I thought was really impressive. And as he's, since he picked things up as quick as he could, I can't say he was necessarily the best physically out there, but he picked things up quickly enough that I thought he would be able to move the needle the furthest over time. If he had extra time in it, I thought he could pick up even more and surpass things. So, yeah, he's done a really good job.
So if you could wave a wand, Mike Leach, would you change anything about the NCAA transfer rules at all, or do you think that they're fine the way that they are?
I'm not sure. I think it's a little disruptive with, guys all of a sudden in the middle of the season, committed, and they get they get everything paid for, and then all of a sudden have the ability to come in and say that, no, I don't want to be on the team anymore. I don't think that's a very good deal. I think that I like the policy before where they, you had to get released to make a lateral move.
So, because we're seeing around the country kids who think that they might not that they might lose a redshirt year or able to go.
They lose a year if they transfer. You lose a year, and you should.
Mm-hmm. So here on our show, we're taking a look at the way that the college playoff rankings always maps out, and I'm of the mindset I'd like 8 teams. I'd like 8 teams in. I'd like the 5 teams from the so-called Power 5 to get in without a conference championship game. I think those conference championship games are useless. And I'd like a regular season title to lead to an automatic berth, and then 3 at-large bids and go and play on Christmas weekend, New Year's weekend, and the final weekend. What would you say to an idea like that?
I think it could definitely be an improvement on what we have right now. I think that every conference should have the same number of conference games. I think either everybody has a championship game or nobody does. I think that we definitely need more playoff teams. I've always thought you need at least 16, and I'd rather see 64. But
how would that work?
Well, you'd go 10 games in the regular season. If you had 64, you'd go 10 games in the regular season. So first off, on the front end, everybody's guaranteed 12 games. So you'd have 10 games in the regular season, and then as you're getting towards the end of the 10 games, you have an idea who's going to make the playoffs and who's not, and so you select who's going to make the playoffs, and there'll be natural breaks in the thing. So in the course of the season, somewhere just a little over midway through, you have half of the country's got an off week, the other half plays. The next week, the other half of the country has their off week, and nobody has to play anybody where they had an off week before the week before you play them, and then and so then 64 teams are selected. Those that already know they're not going to be selected can play that week, so that there's still football, and then you start out home and home. And like, for example, you seed out the region, and a lot like basketball, you seed out the region, and then the lesser seeded team goes to the higher seeded team, place and plays. After that, you integrate the bowls, which there's approximately exactly the right number to finish it out. And then in the end, the champion will have played 16 games, which I think that's the target number, because that's what the champion in 1AA plays. That's what the champion in Division II plays. That's what the champion in Division III plays either 15 or 16. The champion of most high school regions plays 16, and then of course the NFL plays more. And I think everybody'd have a fabulous time. I think it'd be exciting. I think that, like right up the road from us in Spokane is Gonzaga. And in basketball, of course, you go all over the country, and there's you'll run into some rabid Gonzaga fan that, one, doesn't know they're in Spokane, and 2, doesn't know where Spokane is. And but they're a Gonzaga fan because of the exposure that they've gotten on, with the national tournaments and things. So I think it'd be incredibly exciting. I think it'd help a lot of schools. I think you'd have a lot of variety of who's playing who around the country.
And what about final exams, Coach?
Yeah, I get a kick out of that. That's the weakest argument of all of them.
Why?
Well, I mean, what? So kids at other classifications like high school, like Division III, like Division II and 1AA don't have final exams. I mean, most football, an awful lot of football in the postseason would take place after finals anyway. And then in the least imposing on academics, least imposing sport, on academics as football. I mean, you consider a basketball schedule, a baseball schedule, a volleyball schedule, and I don't think they should get rid of any of these sports because I think sports, for their own sake, have a value, and I also think that you can do both, be great at academics and sports, including the ones I've mentioned. But football, you leave the night before, you play the game, and you fly back. And but yeah, anybody that doesn't want to change it or doesn't want the hassle of doing it a different way, or doesn't even have the imagination of whoever's running the parks and recreation in their local community that's drawing up tournament brackets all the time, says, oh, well, it'll damage their academics. We'd never do it. And they do it in a very sanctimonious tone of voice, too. They always do it in very sanctimonious tone of voice, like they're the only ones sensitive and they're the only ones that understand. No, that to me is the most absurd excuse that they try to generate, and they'll do it with such piety too.
So then let me give you this other one that I hear all the time when I try even give 8. Okay, I'm saying 8. You're saying 60. You're saying 64, like hoops. The other one that I hear is that it would remove the drama, the win or go home drama that seems to hinge on every single week in the college football season. That it would remove that.
Yeah, well, that's absurd too. First of all, they're having games on. And correct me if I'm wrong, but let's see what days. I know Thursday and Friday and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So they have college games Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They might have them Wednesday too. But at any rate, people are watching them. I mean, people watch all of them, and people are excited when they watch them. Oh no, there'd be. Don't you want continued drama? Like, somebody's got a chance to redeem themselves if they lose one game. I mean, you want the drama to last to the end rather than, oh, well, all right, that's it, one loss. Okay. No, I mean, and they're just like we're discussing here, really. I mean, all they are is excuses. I mean, I think everybody knows that a bigger playoff format would generate more money. Everybody knows it would be exciting. I think in the back room, the resistance is who would get the money and who would have control of things.
All right, last one for you, Coach. Since I've heard you give advice for weddings and things like that, do you have any advice for Thanksgiving? Families coming up, sitting down together, different types of family members. Is there any sort of parameters, Mike Leach parameters that you want to just posit to the American listening and viewing public here to make life maybe a little bit easier for Thanksgiving?
I have 2 kind of abbreviated Thanksgivings because we play that week,
Yep. You play the Friday.
We play and practice that week. So there will be one for the players on earlier in the week. I forget. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. It depends whether we play Friday or Saturday. And then and we have that at a place called Zeppo's, which is a fantastic place. If you ever get up here, you certainly ought to go.
Okay.
Also has a casino in the back room around here. We can do stuff like that because, we're up here in the Great White North and Viking country, so we can do whatever we want. And then, but they serve the turkey and do just an incredible job. It's like a sports bar, bowling alley.
All right.
So these guys will bowl. They'll eat their Thanksgiving, and then of course there'll be the relatives who'll come home like. I don't know. It may not even be on Thursday. This one might be Wednesday, but there'll be a second one going on at the house.
Okay.
So, I end up getting 2 of them, but
all right.
And often make the gravy.
You're a gravy. You make the gravy? Is that your side of choice?
My wife has developed into a better cook than I am, but the thing is for whatever reason, she didn't know a lot about making gravy, and so for the last couple of decades, I've been the gravy guy.
You've been well, you could say that about your profession too, Mike.
Yeah, you got to put tiger sauce in the gravy.
What do you mean?
There's a thing in it's sort of a spicy sort of sauce thing that they have in the grocery store. Somebody in Louisiana made it. It's called tiger sauce. So I recommend you put that in to zest up your gravy.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks for that tip and for the whole conversation. Always appreciate catching up with you. Thanks for the call.
All right, thanks so much. Appreciate being on with you.
Thank you. You got it. At Coach_Leach on Twitter. That's Mike Leach.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.